Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a highly visual, totally practical journey right into the fundamentals of business. And to help us navigate all this, we're going to follow our hand-drawn stickman friend right here. Together, we'll see exactly how to build an enterprise totally from the ground up. So, get comfortable and let's watch our stickman get to work.
But before he takes the plunge into the crazy world of business, we kind of have to ask a fundamental question. Do you share the essential qualities needed to actually survive this journey? Because building an enterprise, it's not just about having one good idea. It takes a unique combo of skills, a very specific mindset, and, honestly, the guts to face challenges head-on. Let's see if you and our stickman are really ready.
Section 1. Meet your inner entrepreneur.
Look, an entrepreneur isn't just someone who starts a business, right? They're visionaries who take calculated risks. To climb this massive hill, our stickman needs a very specific toolkit. He needs immense determination and drive, especially in those rough early stages. You've got to have passion, the self-confidence to get others on board, and really steadfast leadership. But crucially, and this is a big one, you need a surprisingly low fear of failure, and you have to be a shrewd assessor of risk. You know, spotting what everyone else is missing. Kind of like how Steve Jobs persistently guided Apple through its absolute darkest days.
Section 2. Transforming inputs to outputs.
So now that our stickman has the drive, well, he can't just run on enthusiasm alone. To build literally any product, he's going to need to gather the 4 factors of production. First up is land, which actually just means all the natural resources he's going to use. Next is labor. That's your physical and mental sweat equity. Third is capital, covering the machinery, the tools, and even the intellectual know-how. And finally, the real secret ingredient, enterprise. That's his unique ability to mix that land, labor, and capital together and do it profitably.
But here's the catch. All of these resources, they're limited. And because resources are scarce, every single time our stickman makes a decision, he faces an opportunity cost. By definition, opportunity cost is just the next best alternative you give up when you make a choice. So by choosing to pour his time, money, and energy into this new business, he's giving up that next best alternative, which, might just be the security of a steady monthly paycheck working for somebody else. It is the hidden cost behind every single business decision.
Section 3. The magic of added value. Which really begs the question, why? Why face all this uncertainty and go through the massive headache of gathering resources? Well, the absolute secret to business survival is creating value. This magic happens when our stickman takes ordinary inputs and transforms them into an output that consumers will happily pay a premium for. Just think about the famous chef Jamie Oliver for a second. He takes everyday inputs, meat, herbs, vegetables, and transforms them into a fantastic meal that completely packs out restaurants. The value of that finished meal is way, way higher than the cost of the raw ingredients. That difference? That's added value. Let's look at how this builds on a much larger scale, like in a car factory. Value gets added step by step through a whole chain of operations. You start with basic iron ore and minerals, right? Then work is done to roll that into steel sheets. More work and design cut those sheets and form them into a car body. And finally, the engine, the wheels, the interior, the whole shebang is added. At every single stage of this transformation, the product becomes more and more valuable. The final output, the finished car, commands a price far greater than just a pile of its raw parts.
Section 4. Navigating risks and rewards.
Now, successfully adding value is not some guaranteed path to riches. Every decision has real consequences. If you look at the bottom left of this matrix here, low risk with high rewards, that is the absolute dream, but those projects are incredibly rare. Typical new ventures sit way up in the top right. High risk, high reward. So if our stickman is going to move forward, his research has to prove without a doubt that the potential returns absolutely outweigh the very real dangers of failing.
And depending on the path he chooses, his ultimate definition of a reward might actually shift. If he opens a traditional private sector business, well, his primary focus is going to be on financial reward and maximizing profit. Simple enough. But if he decides to structure his business as a social enterprise, his objectives totally change. Social enterprises measure success through what we call a triple bottom line. So they're focusing not just on economic performance, but equally on their social impact in the community and their environmental sustainability.
Regardless of the sector, though, risk is mathematically ever present. Just think about this simple math. If you estimate a project has a 55% probability of succeeding, that leaves a massive 45% probability of failure.
That is literally almost a coin flip, and every single operational decision our stickman makes comes with these calculated odds. The whole game is about minimizing that 45 and maximizing the 55.
Section 5. Why governments love entrepreneurs.
With odds like that, it honestly sounds like an uphill battle. But surprisingly, our stickman isn't in this alone. Governments around the world actually have a massive vested interest in his success, and they can be incredibly proactive about it. Take Singapore, for instance, which is consistently ranked at the very top for ease of doing business. Governments absolutely want entrepreneurs to succeed. Why? Because they create jobs, they pay taxes to fund public services, and they drive overall economic growth through constant innovation. It's a win-win.
To encourage this kind of vibrant entrepreneurial culture, governments will actively intervene to help our stickman out. They'll try to maintain macroeconomic stability, which basically means keeping inflation low and exchange rates steady. But they also offer direct hands-on support. We're talking tax incentives, low-cost startup finance or grants, building solid infrastructure, and offering vital legal protection, like patents. That way our stickman's brilliant new ideas can't just be swallowed up and stolen by a larger competitor.
So, as our stickman finally turns the sign on his door to open, having gathered his factors of production, weighed his opportunity costs, and calculated his risks, we want to leave you with this final thought. Look closely at the businesses you interact with every single day. Whether it's just your local coffee shop or a massive tech giant, ask yourself, how exactly are they transforming basic inputs to add value to your life? What is the specific magic they are performing just to survive? Keep that question in mind, and I promise you, you'll start seeing the whole world of enterprise in a completely new light.